Hello everybody, and welcome to Are We Real? So, today guys, I really want to ask you guys a real question. How do we know that we're real? How do we know that we aren't alone? How do we know that the Earth is not a simulation? How do we know? Exactly. How do we know that it's like... How do we know that everything around you is not being simulated? Is not... Alright, let's say that, you're on the very top of a mountain, and you can see, and they say you can see as far as the eye can see. Now, what they're trying to say is, you can see as far as your render distance can see. And then past that render distance is unloaded simulation chunks. As in... How do we know that this is not a simulation far from the future, from the X planet? Now, you might be asking, what's the X planet, and what would I like to do with it? Well, the X planet is known to be a far more advanced Earth than us, right? Right. Okay, so, how do we know that we're real? I don't know either. So, I'm really not good at these kind of talk shows. I kind of lost my vibe, but, you know, how do we know that we really exist? How do we know that right now there is not another player, another so-called person, actual real person playing us? Alright, you guys have ever heard of the game The Sims, right? How do we know that we're not in that Sims place? How do we know that we have not been simulated to mimic real life? How? And for all you guys who think that, well, it's hard to say, but for all you people who think that, oh yeah, life isn't a simulation, you know, well, think again. How would we know that? Okay, I'm trying to get mixed up here, guys, but okay, so this is hard to say, but I don't know how to put it. Like, this is really hard to put it, but okay, anyway, I got it. Okay, so right now I want you to sit back and think. Are we virtually inside of a mega core, inside of a simulation? How do we know that this mega server has not been dug deep 100 miles or so into the Earth's crust, right? And how do we know that the Earth in the year like 8021 is not a flaming ball and is now the new sun, right? How do we know that the Earth spinning around in outer space and everything has not been simulated? How? How do we know? Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like the Matrix. Yeah. But this is hard to say because I don't have anyone to talk to. So, I want you guys to sit back and think. Do you guys think that people in Japan, US, wherever you are, do you think that they would... I'm sorry. Do you think that they were feeling what you felt when you were sad? Do you think that they were feeling what you felt when you were crying, happy, joyful? Do you think people 400,000 miles away felt that? Or do you think, like I think, that they were frozen in time? They were frozen, unrendered inside of a simulation, so the core would not freeze and boot and reboot and just freeze. Because that would overload the memory and basically freeze the game, you know? So I'll just crash. That will crash the game, kind of like in GTA. If the game cannot render properly, it starts crashing, and then you freeze, and it renders as you freeze. Now, in order to stop real life from freezing and re-rendering like a game, you gotta cut corners, right? You gotta cut corners. So, in order to cut corners like that, what you have to do is you're gonna have to make such a system to where the only part of the system is active. Oh, okay. When a player is near something, there's only like a 80-mile radius that is rendered and active around that player. Or else, like 90+ miles away, everything is unrendered and is just in the void, basically, as I call it. You cannot see it, it's in the mist. So like, when you're standing on a mountain, and you see, as far as the eye can see, and you see the circle of the earth, and then past that, you just see the sky in blue, or the mist. You can't see anything, right? That's what I want to call the unrendered. Now, if you were to take binoculars, or something to enhance your vision, then the system would detect that, and basically say, okay guys, he is using something to look 4 miles farther than his eyesight can look. So it would basically render another couple 10 miles to make up 90 miles of rendered chunks that the player can see. Now, I know, but it might seem crazy, but how do you know after we take off those binoculars, the system doesn't go, okay, the player is only looking 80 miles, or the player is only looking 10 miles. We can render 10 miles and leave the rest of 248,000 miles unrendered so the system does not overload and blow up. Because if this life was a simulation, we could not have life freeze. We could not have time freeze. We could not have the world freeze because it needs to be rendered. If this game were to freeze, we would just freeze. Time would fly out of control. GPSs would go wacko. The satellite would be halfway around the Earth in a minute's time if we froze. So, the simulation of Earth cannot freeze. It cannot freeze. On the bottom line, cannot freeze. Because if it does, it will cause major catastrophes. Now you might be thinking, what kind of catastrophes could a little freezing do? I just told you, time would fly out of control. If we were frozen in time for a minute, and we froze at exactly 8 o'clock p.m., and when we unfroze, it could be 2:45 a.m., we would basically advance like 6 or 5 hours in the future. We cannot have that in a game. If this game okay, hold on. Alright. Okay, so guys, if this Earth was a simulation, and all the players were simulated, except you, and you were traveling faster than the speed of light, faster than the speed of sound, you would freeze, because the Earth and all the chunks around you would not be able to keep up. They would not be able to keep following you around, because your body goes at such a pace that the rendering software and crap can actually keep up with your pace that the computer has programmed you with. Now, if you were to travel faster than the speed of light, you would basically freeze and almost crash the simulation. So in that case, you would freeze. Okay, so let's say you left your house at 1 o'clock p.m. on the dot. And then you flew the speed of light to the other side of the world, Japan, and it was only 1:04 p.m., right? You would be frozen there because it would take you to drive there. It would take you at least like 3 days, 8 days, a week, a year to walk there. So time would not be able to keep up with that, okay? Time would not be able to keep up with something, an object that is in a simulation, that is its main focus, that travels at the speed of light. It could not handle it. So the system would go totally wacko, trying to render up all these 10 chunks, 50 chunks, depending on how low you are to the ground, trying to render up like 20 chunks a second, or 20 chunks a millisecond, as you fly. Actually, no. When you're traveling the speed of light, and you get to China, and from 1 o'clock to 1:04, you'd be rendering 180 chunks in a millisecond. That would overload your system. That would overload your system so bad that would not only cause your system to melt down, you would basically crash the game. And you would basically freeze for such a long time that all of that rendered chunks that you rendered from 225,000 miles away is still rendered, because it is not being able to be unrendered and re-rendered, because it still thinks that your body is still passing that rendering point when you're actually 225,000 miles away from that last rendering point you were at. So you would basically crash the game and it would freeze up, right? And the game would freeze and it would be frozen for a good, I would say 5 minutes. And basically, when you froze, time would speed up at the pace of an hour, which would be equivalent to like 2 minutes in time. Okay? So every 2 minutes would be an hour. So you think 2, 4, and 5. So 4 minutes would be equivalent to 2 hours, and then the extra one would be an hour, right? Okay? That would just cause massive meltdown shutdowns in the simulation core. So, Oh, this is such a hard subject to explain. Okay, So basically, if you were to travel the speed of, I was talking about the speed of sound, I think, or light. Anyway, if you were to travel at supersonic speed, so faster than the speed of light, faster than the speed of sound, faster than any speed faster than any sound speed on Earth. So if you were to scream through a gigantic megaphone 400 million miles away, right? And you were to go at supersonic speeds, 400 million thousand miles, Google, I don't care, miles away to the other side, it would be around 1 minute to 3 seconds for you to scream to reach that where you are. Because, actually no, 5 minutes. If you traveled 30 miles and you screamed as loud as you can on a gigantic megaphone so loud that it could be heard from the moon, and you traveled at supersonic speeds to the moon, it would take around, let me calculate, this is my head, okay, so times the speed of sound and light, it'll take you roughly 30 minutes for your scream to reach the moon. Because you travel that fast. Now, if you were to stay equivalent with the speed of sound, you would hear your scream all the way from your house to the moon. Okay? You would basically hear your scream from your house to the moon. All the 440,000 miles. Unless you travel at supersonic speed. Then you would hear it. The next moment, it would be gone. Right? Now, I know that's hard to imagine. Right? But, you know what? How do we know that, this life is not a simulation? Now, how do we not know that if this isn't a simulation, how come we haven't achieved being able to fly airplanes at supersonic speeds to get to, Canada to Japan in a minute, right? It's not that hard. Just create a wormhole and create another wormhole on the other side of the Earth, fly through it, fly through the other end, you're there. It's not that hard to travel at the speed of sound, speed of light, at supersonic speeds. You just have to create 2 wormholes. One at the freaking National Mississippi National Airport, and one at the Japanese National Airport, and that the plane would not lift off the ground, no. It would basically travel through the wormhole, and it would get frozen in time, and then it would pop gracefully right out the other side of the wormhole, still on the ground, except going the speed of sound. Basically, at almost 100 million, that's wrong. At almost at 50 million miles per hour, coming out through that wormhole. Now, you may think, why would I want to go through a wormhole and come out going 50 million miles per hour just to freaking fly off the face of the earth? Now, I know it might sound crazy, but actually, that's the point. If we could create wormholes to get from one side of the earth to the other, we have the technology to do it. They already are making clouds inside of buildings by balancing humidity, light, and something else. And they're making clouds, they're making rainstorms, they're making it snow, they're making it hail, they're making mini tornadoes in a gymnasium, in a gigantic room a mile wide. Okay? Now, you might think, you can't make a cloud in a room. Yes, you can, if you balance light and humidity, and I forgot what else, but if you balance them all and make them the humidity, I don't know what else, all equal at the same exact temperature, you can make a cloud. And also, my fellow listener, he asked, it's more like quantum physics. It is, basically. A simulation, if this life is a simulation, it is kind of like quantum physics. We would basically, if we can make clouds, think about all the things NASA is making. Think about all the things Area 51 is hiding. Now, you guys might not know about Area 51, right? Well, I do. Area 51 is, Area 51 is a military base that is highly, highly protected, and if you step foot in it, you will be shot and killed on sight. Now, kids. I know it sounds really brutal, but here's the thing. A military base wouldn't just want to shoot you. They would not shoot you without a great reason. Now, if I were to be building something super secret and something so advanced that I had to go into the future to get, I had to travel into the future and go and get, and then time travel right back into the past and put it in my basement and lock it up. I could lock up an alien from the future. And then if anybody tried to get in my basement and if they saw what I had, I would shoot and kill them because they would report it to the government and then they would try to steal my idea and take it as their own. Right? And that would mess up the world mass and everything else. So, unless the military just doesn't want anyone trespassing on their property, that isn't right. They're hiding something that we need to know. We need to know something. They're hiding something that they don't want us to know. I know that they're hiding UFOs. I know that they are storing alien life forms in there. It's all obvious. They're all about the shows and stuff about, sightings of UFOs and blah, 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 blah. The facts are right there. The facts are not hard to miss. I will promise you that. I promise you, if you invest time into it, sorry about that, guys. My microphone kind of cut out. So, anyway, guys, what was I saying? I kind of forgot. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, about the military and aliens. The facts are there. I know that they are storing alien life forms there. Right? I know that they are storing alien life forms in Area 51. If you invest the time and money, you will find the hard facts. That the only reason that aliens are coming here is for the uranium to fuel their UFOs. They find they can basically burn a hole through a mountain and then magically put it right back, like this. Put it right back into its place. Well, you'll notice, so basically you'd see a UFO and it looks like it's passing behind a mountain. But in reality, it's an optical illusion. It's really closer than you think and is actually going into the mountain. It is going through the mountain and closing up the hole in an instant. Right? Now, some of you might think, yeah, how is that even possible? You're just making up some mumbo jumbo. But you know what? This might just be mumbo jumbo. But, if I am so concerned about a thing and I cannot get it off my mind, I will talk about it. I only have 6 minutes and 49 seconds until I'm going to end this podcast and create a new one. So, let's try to use up as much time as we can. So, back to UFOs. The only reason that aliens are on this Earth is for the uranium deposits. Or the uranium, yeah. So, inside of the mountains, in like Canada, China, I don't know where, there are forms of uranium because when the Earth was formed, all kinds of minerals and ores came down and formed inside of Earth, right? And then when that gigantic meteor of silver and copper and I don't know what, but all kinds of ores struck Earth, all those kind of minerals and ores and little deposits of ores got thrown throughout Earth, all around it, inside the crust, everywhere. So, basically, there's like gold, uranium, silver, copper, granite, all over this world. There could be freaking 100 quadrillion dollars worth of gold at the center of the Earth, right? Melting, and it would be basically melting, hardening, coming up to the surface, and then melting again once a volcano erupts, and going right back down to the core, and melting and evaporating. And so basically, what the aliens are doing, they're using that tactic. They're basically setting up like I want to say base, but not. I want like a little house inside the mountain, inside the UFO, next to the core of the Earth, so they can catch the gold as soon as it goes from, it turns to melted gold. I mean, not gold. What am I thinking? As soon as the uranium melts, and then it takes another 4 to 18 years to harden again, they want to get that uranium as soon as it hardens, because it's nice and fresh, and then they take it, and that's a couple of years worth of uranium right there. Now, if I know you're thinking, why would aliens crash land on Earth to wait 4 to 14 years for the uranium they need to fuel their UFOs to harden, when there could probably be other planets out there with made out of uranium that I could go to? But if you want to travel at the speed of sound through black holes and wormholes, that sucks up your fuel pretty fast. If you're going at the speed of sound plus the speed of light plus supersonic speed combined, it'll be going faster than a blink. If you blink right now, you know how fast that is? Where you close your eyes and blink and you don't even realize? You see like a millisecond and a half of blackness, right? You don't even miss anything. You might miss a fly passing. But think about, you blink really fast, and then you blink once. Try to blink faster than that. Try to blink fast, blink, just blink to clean your eyes. Just blink once, and then think about going faster than sound, faster than light, faster than supersonic speeds, faster than any speed known to man. Now try to blink your eyes faster than speed. Not possible. Try to blink your eyes fast as sound. Not possible. Now try to blink your eyes at the supersonic speed. Not even possible. Now try to blink your eyes with all that combined. You would basically have to blink your eyes faster than an airplane. Okay, so this is actually kind of hard. You know how? Try to imagine your eye blinking so fast that you don't even see black. Like so fast that your eyelashes fly off your eyelids because they're moving that fast. Like if I were to clap my hands like that, I only see a second of my hand touching my other hand. And if I were to put that in slow motion, it would my hand going, touching, bouncing, and going off. But if I speed it up, you only see 1 second of your hand hitting the other palm, and then you see the motion blur of your other hand pulling away from the other palm. Now, if you want to travel at the speed of sound plus speed of light plus supersonic speed, you're going to have a lot of motion blur, because it's going to basically be stretching you and your flying object a couple Google miles in length. So basically, you could take off from your house and fly past Pluto to another galaxy, freaking 100 trillion gazillion infinity and beyond, faster than everything, faster than speed of sound, speed of light, faster than anything. And in 10 seconds, in 10 minutes, you would just be, like the rear end of your UFO would just be lifting off of the ground, while you would be Google miles into space, to where there are 100 gazillion Earths next to each other, building little tunnels and passageways to each. While your rear end of your space shuttle is still lifting off the ground, and it is going slower than a snail. Right? You wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that. So, I'm gonna go here in about 30 seconds, guys. I will be uploading another podcast fast. Like, right away. So it's gonna be 30 minutes back to back to back. So, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. On my next one, I'm going to basically talk more about the simulation, and I kind of got off track about it, but I'm going to talk more about the simulation and what happens, when we were put inside the simulation, and are we alone? So I'll catch you all later. Oh wait, I'm still going? Huh. I could still keep going past 30 minutes. Huh. I don't know if I'm still recording. I really don't know. I don't know if I'm still podcasting right now. It says I'm on there, but I don't know. I don't know. I want to check really fast, guys. I don't know if I'm actually